Mike Perlack here to entertain you with the help of Bush. Slaves! Ghost in the machine. Happiness waves. So clean and serene. Are we not slaves? Slaves! Are we not slaves? So many people inside of you. So many people inside of you. Where the wind blows, where the wind blows, where the wind blows, where the wind blows. I give you the best of me, 45-55. I give you the best of me, 45-55. I think that was a reference to his age, Mr. Rochdale. Anyways, the new Bush album, The Kingdom. I wanted to get one out there and talk about some stuff. Probably going to end up being somewhat of a rant, but I wanted to talk about the gifts that the government policy has gotten from modern feminism. Indecisiveness, perpetual chaos, and disorder. The Clintons, in all their criminality, glory. I mean, when I say I'm talking about modern feminism, not OG feminism. OG feminism, that's original gangster feminism. That's I recently came across that term from another YouTuber that calls her channel Roma Army. So, shout out to Roma Army there. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about the gifts that the government policy has gotten from modern feminism. Identity politics, another gift, another wonderful gift that we got from modern feminism at least helped make possible. Political agenda, cancel culture, and the support thereof. If Trump wants, I wouldn't have any problem with the military being present at the voting polls and at the mailboxes or at the post offices, having military men there to make sure there's no funny business. I would not have a problem with that whatsoever. I'm an American citizen. I always have my driver's license on me. Yeah, so OG feminism versus modern feminism. OG feminism stood for human rights, equality. Modern feminism, female superiority. OG feminism stood for strengthening femininity, showing women that they can use their femininity for goodness and virtue and wholesomeness and yes, even power. Modern feminism, victimhood mentality. Just look at the laws against men. any man who's ever been in family court. But there's a reason for this. The government knows, and I'm going to have to be very, very careful how I say this. Not all, there are some unicorns out there, but most females, and the government knows it, will yield to government power with little to no resistance. And what does our government want? More power! Sad but true. Just because something is popular doesn't necessarily make it right. The Electoral College is the only thing that saved our butts. There are more females than males in this world. What does government that wants social unrest? In the public eye, they call it social justice. You know, the quote peaceful protesting. But what do they want? More power and control over citizens' lives. They don't want a system that lets people better themselves. They'd rather give us free stuff. Not totally free, because, we're paying for that stuff little by little with your God-given freedoms. And not all, but most females will yield to this without question. Thinking, well, government knows best, government is God. It is part of female nature to want and need to believe someone or something will be there to protect and provide. This is embedded in the female conscious. And so they will believe in a government almighty, even blindly, in the absence of masculine guidance. Again, not all, but 90% of female brains can only live in the moment. Another reason why they don't do well with accountability in absence of masculine leadership. Whether it be a husband or a father. Ideally, it should be both, but... And since I am talking about the differences between OG feminism and modern feminism, one thing that me and my mom were always in agreement on the question of females and women in the military. My mom and I agreed that no problem. Females in the military when it comes to like strategic infiltration strikes. Okay. My mom and I agreed that we just didn't think that females on hand-to-hand combat was a good idea. So that's a second wave feminism issue. There are things I agree with second wave feminism and things I disagree with. There ain't nothing I agree with third and fourth wave feminism. And in the event there are any young men watching this video, remember, the last thing you want as a real man is to be emotionally dependent on a female. They will resent you for it. It's female nature. It's not misogyny. It's female. It's acknowledging female nature. They will resent you for being emotionally dependent on them. Emotions, that's their department. That's feminine. That's the feminine. They look to you for the masculine. I find myself thanking God that I didn't go to college. I went to a junior college, but today the traditional university, to me, seems like it's doing more indoctrinating than it is teaching. A little bit of personal in-depth about this. I have cousins that are from a couple generations before my own, and growing up, myself and my sisters versus these cousins, I would always think to myself, boy, these cousins of ours, they're going to have better opportunities than me and my sisters. They're going to have this, that, and this. And in some ways, I think I was right about that, but I mean, it's all in God's hands. Then they die of cancer. It's like, but that's just my personal perspective. I've been blessed in other ways. For example, not having attended a traditional university and therefore not having been indoctrinated to suit the government. So they can create a soy society that must yield to government power because they have no choice. They don't know anything else. I said I went to a junior college, and the junior college worked for me personally and that's only because I was just so behind in life due to those 6 years in prison with that male feminist warden I had to call dad. But even I would question and not feel 100% right about that grading on a curb policy. Even though I would admit I personally did benefit from it. I wasn't, the best student in the world. George Carlin said in one of his stand-up routines, the IQ of the country slips a few points, but what the heck? More indoctrinated humans to do the government's bidding. What scares me is how many of these people willfully accept this indoctrination for the sake of free stuff. Scary stuff. God help me. God help us all. Too many of the youth don't want to work for a living, and you wonder why they're for socialism. Let's shift gears a little bit. This next part really is going to be kind of a reflection of what I've been watching on Tim Cast and Tim Pool's YouTube channels. But I was thinking about the CNN bathrooms and the graffiti that bashes Trump's, and how the bosses know about it, but they don't mind because it expires headlines. CNN, they don't mind the Trump bashing graffiti on the walls of the CNN building restroom. That's where their, quote, journalist gets inspiration for headlines. Actually, CNN never really did have 100% accurate credibility. It was more of an entertainment outlet than a news outlet. Just watch one episode of Larry King Live in the 90s for that. When Little Ross Perot was on there, can I finish? Nobody was talking but him for 20 minutes. Can I finish? Larry, can we focus on the issues, Larry? And then tomorrow you can interview your necrophiliac strippers and the men who love them. But today's here, Larry, can we please just focus on the issues? I would always throw C-SPAN on when I was a kid, when I was cleaning my room. Just for background noise. There wasn't a whole lot of action on there, but when you heard something, you really did learn something. And apparently, fetishism is systemically, and I can't even say the word, so my substitute word is Ray, I-S-T. Yeah, fetishism, fetishizing is systemically Ray, I-S-T. So, I was thinking about that. I should probably pick a popular one. Foot fetish. So that means that if somebody has a foot fetish, but they say, oh no, but it's only for petite, feminine feet, the left will say, then you're a Ray! I-S-T. You gotta love all feet! Your fetish must be for all human feet! I just thought that was hilarious. Now, that Amy Coney Barron, who Trump picked for the Supreme Court, yeah, she has adoptive black children. Now, the left say she did this to make herself holy. Some people just have a desire in them to give their life works and all of their love to a child. So, it was my understanding growing up that a lot of people would adopt an a black child, because it was less expensive. And so, what you tell me? What does that say about the system when it comes to the powers that be? Who is the real racist? The real Ray, I-S-T. I'm guilty of Schadenfreude. I'm guilty of it. I admit I had fun watching Pence intellectually annihilate that Californian such and such. I watched the vice presidential debate because I wanted to see firsthand this woman, this would-be president woman. But from my perspective, I'm not sure Kamala Harris is capable of feeling compassion, at least not for her fellow Americans. I watched it, just her mannerism, her persona, totally affirmed what I was already hearing and reading about her. And that question about you're going to fill the courts. And she says, I'm going to answer now. like how? all you're doing is smiling and laughing nervously. Seems to be the only way you know how to communicate. So yeah, when Mike Pence said, I want to get it on record that she didn't answer the question. Of course she didn't. The less questions the Democrats have to answer, the more votes they get. Of course, no answer. Joey wouldn't answer the question whether or not they were going to fill the courts for the sake of getting their way, because they have to change the rules to get their way instead of following the rules. There have been 9 judges on the Supreme Court for a long time. And the only way the left gets their way is if they change that. And by doing that, adding 20, 30 new judges, they basically make the Supreme Court obsolete. Obsolete. I'm going off script here, but that's what they're doing by doing that. And that's why they won't answer the question. I'll end this little part with just reinstating something I already said on a past video. Yeah, vote for Biden and Harris because there's not enough legal, hard-working Americans behind bars for crimes of bad feelings. Ay, ay, ay. My Explain African Pride to me video sure getting some attention. But even American pride is flawed, I would admit. Now, of course, I want my country to succeed. Freedom only exists here. Only any hope for the future of it. So, of course, I want my country to succeed, but not if that means sacrificing God. I will never yield to what the Democratic Party and the left want, and what Joey wants, and that's for all to believe in government almighty. I won't do it. Thank God there is civil unrest amongst leftist leaders. If just one, I was recently looking at some of the polls and stuff from the 2016 election. If just one of those independent presidential runner-ups had found common ground with Hillary, this BS might have gone on for another decade or so. Thank God. The left can't find common ground, even amongst each other. Thank you, God. I'll end this one. Recently on another video, I shared a personal memory of myself, something I learned about Hitler in middle school. I shared a story about, the teacher shared about how Hitler would have his soldiers go into the classrooms and put their hat on the students, and if the hat didn't fit in coordinates with Hitler's specifications, the child was deemed not a pure German. Or not a, you know. And it got me thinking, that's a good example of how idiocy ideas can dictate policy. Look what happened when it was just one mind. Imagine if you have a collective body of minds like that. All right, I'll end this one. I don't want to. It's going to be 20 minutes, but just vote. Whoever you are, whoever's watching this, just get out there and vote, preferably in person. Just vote. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your time.